Don't blink, it's your blink. Welcome to the Comfortable Show. Welcome back to the tower on its 25th. Oh my god, today's tournament. I forgot. Today is tournament. Oh my Atlantis. I completely forgot. Okay, well, we're kind of effed up, but we'll do it. We'll be able to. We have a nice tournament, and we still have 3 hours to get it, so we're still good. I completely forgot that today was a tournament. Oh, dude, I'm good. Okay, never mind. Oh my god, I got so scared. It's not today the tournament. It's tomorrow. Today there's no tournaments. Okay, nice. Today is the 25th March 2025. It is a Tuesday, but it's before 8. So this is not the day for we just finished doing you're gonna see me tired a little bit. We just finished a nice TikTok live where we were running, right? We were running and I have such a hard time talking today. We just finished running on a treadmill for an hour and a half and wasted 300 calories. I know it's hard to believe, but it's the truth. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to be chilling. We're just going to be relaxing. We're going to be taking notes. We're going to be uploading clips. We're going to be taking our time and have fun. So what I'm going to do before that is I need to take a good shower because I sweated like a small pig. Un pequeño porco. I don't know, un pequeño cochinita, as they say in Spanish. So, super happy today. You can tell I'm in a better mood. The reason as to why I'm in a better mood, dude, I'm just super early on. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, what I want to do is, I do want to upload 2 of the videos, so the shield and the crown on TikTok, because I haven't posted some tower in a while on TikTok, so I want to do it. So the first stream we're going to do is going to be less than an hour, so nothing is new. Well, actually, you know what, it is new. Second time this happened, but I caught you this time. I caught you. The recorder always have an issue. It broke. It broke yesterday, it broke today. But it's okay, because we didn't start the game yet. I'm going to need to upload Sword really quick, really soon, because the phone is almost full. It's okay. We'll see how it goes. No, I'm hoping it's working. It's working good. It is working muy bien. I like speaking Spanish. I don't know why. So we don't have the what shall I call it? You know what? I have an idea. We now have a scratch on the screen of the tablets. I don't know what happened, but we do have a scratch on the screen. Okay. Well, that's life. What I could do is I'm gonna wait until we're at the maximum, like we're at 4,000, at 5,000, and then we'll just do it. So right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be taking a good shower. But before that, I want to check out, because there's not a lot to talk about. I want to wait until like 4,000, and then we'll do this, and we'll even put music on it. Okay, so now what I want to do is also check out what the guild says. The guild has been a bit more quiet, which is okay. It's okay. It's a good thing that we played, because one of my mission was full. We are at 200 and 320. Wow. So every single day we have one of the boxes, which is 4 boxes, which means that in 7 days we did more. Most game I did play, mainly have fun and help whoever need help, and aim to complete all weekly. It competitive, also be kind of not main part of this game. Super good ID. I like Falcon. Falcon's a nice guy. Super good ID. Imagine being able to help your clansmen just by pressing help, and for free, taking a minute lap time of lap time. Or even better, if they are about to die, can have a small chance to rescue. Please tell us. Competitive would also be great, but not fair for the F2P. Free to play. 25 days. Wow. Good. So we'll take a shower. Before that, I'll put you a little video. That way you have some entertainment in the background. Oh. I already got the perfect video. We're gonna be eating in about 2 hours. That's perfect. Okay. We're done with the training for today, which is nice because it's still very early. We'll see how it goes. You know what? Let's go with a nice horror story. It's been a while.
It's affected me so much, but we just couldn't live with it. A month later, we made the decision to sell the house and move over 2 states away to a safer area. I hope it stays that way.
Such a nice guy. I had to talk with my best friend today, DZ. What a nice guy, dude. Because we had a really nice, workout. Really nice workout. So, like I was saying, what ended up happening is we're having a nice workout, and we have DZ that came in, and we're just talking. It was just fun, and why it was so fun is because during the talk, he told me, "Hey, I see that you've been doing the different videos. You've been talking about different stuff, and it's really nice to see you. It's real nice to hear from you. You're doing some good work, and it's just fun because DZ know me from for a year and a half now. So it's not like, hey, I saw you as a stranger, and there's nothing wrong with stranger telling you, hey, just hope you're doing well, but it's just nicer when it's like a person that knows you personally, right? And with DZ, it's just a guy that we're so close, me and him, because we fought a lot before. We've both been to depression, and it's just a really good guy and really a pleasant person to talk to because I'm not an easy friend. I get brash, I get impulsive, I get emotional, and he knows how to calm me down. So sometimes you need that. I'm gonna take a shower, and I'll be right back.
From school. Anyway, last week I had just gotten home from my first day of classes and threw myself onto my bed to relax. Being at school for long hours was enough to make me exhausted, and sleep was the only thing I was looking forward to. I get some shut-eye for a good hour or so when I woke to my dog Mia barking. This was weird as she almost never barks. I have a dachshund, big bark, small bite, and was the sweetest thing anyone could have, so when I heard her barking, I definitely thought it was strange. I dismiss it as her just barking at someone walking their dog or cat. However, it wasn't until her barks went from annoying to defensive, and that's when I get up to see what she was barking at. I could then see her barking into my parents' bedroom. She has her head up while barking, as if she were barking at a person. The only problem was that there wasn't anyone there, even though she clearly knew something was there. At this point, I'm officially creeped the hell out while trying to get her to snap out of it. As I was about to approach her, she squeals back as if she was hurt or scared. I take a look at her, and I see this minor gash above her stomach where I then covered it. Thankfully, there wasn't that much blood, but it still hurt her to say the least. I grabbed Mia and ran out of the house so fast to call the police. When my parents got home, I had told them about what had happened prior to them arriving. However, my parents are the type of people to take everything so lightly and lectured me about how I haven't been sleeping well enough and that it was all in my head. I know my story sounds crazy, but I saw it happen. I don't care if my parents believe me or not, as I know what I saw. Nothing has happened since, and my dog has gotten back to her normal self. This is by far the scariest thing I've ever seen, as I still can't find the words to explain it. I've had a few people tell me that it was just my dog being dumb, while others say it was something paranormal related. All of these theories were valid, but unfortunately the second one seems more plausible. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but what I do know is that my dog obviously saw something in that room that I couldn't see, that terrified her.
I used to work at a video store in Los Angeles in the 90s. We had quite a few celebrity customers, even a few porn stars too. It was a wacky work environment that could feel pretty unsafe at times. But that unpredictability was half of the allure. I honestly loved the job, and the crazy unhinged customers that came with it. There's a porn star that would come in frequently, I'd call her T, whose visits I would absolutely dread. She only seemed to come in when I was working alone. She'd always ask me the same question. Which of my movies coming? Now, she didn't ask this in any kind of unreasonable manner. T was a little older, clearly had a whole career behind her. She looked and acted a little crazy, like she was out of her mind. But she was also very obviously high. She'd come in jogging, grinding her teeth together, and her eyes would bulge out of her head like there was some prosthetic special effect. She was skinny from years of substance abuse, probably various personal issues with weight and image. T also reeked of booze and cigarettes most of the time. She'd scream, which in my movies too, over and over again with that crackhead energy. And repeatedly told her, over and over, our computer system would only look up movies by title, not by actors or actresses. But this fact never seemed to get through to her. Every time she would start screaming at me. Remember, this is 1995, so the computer I used to look up things and check rentals was a dinosaur. But it didn't really matter, because T would always forget. How in the hell can you find out which of my movies you have then? She would scream. I offered to walk her back to the adult section. She could see the stock shelves for herself, but she would always stop, as if totally disgusted at that idea. This is where it gets bewildering, because she's a porn star who's already come into the adult film store. I'm not going in there, she yells. Lady, you're already in here. What's it gonna hurt to go scan the shelves real quick? In my head, I'm thinking she's a porn star and she won't walk the aisles and look at the covers. It made me think she was even crazier than she was leading on. What'd she think she'd find in there? Just how out of touch with reality was this woman? Anyway, she would yell at me for a bit before calming down and then leaving. But this scene played out at least a dozen times. She wasn't the worst customer I had, but she came to be the one that I dreaded the most. But then one week she didn't show up. Monday, Tuesday, the whole week went by, and still no tea. It was a huge relief, but part of me wondered, something bad happened to her? Was she getting extra spun out and would come in even more crazy? The reasonable side of me figured that she'd OD'd. When another week went by without her presence, she left my mind entirely. Fast forward a month or so, guess who comes slithering through the double doors? It's T, and she looks like hell. First off, she clearly hasn't showered for several weeks, maybe since the last time that I saw her. You could always tell when she was really unwashed because her hair would just get more and more vertical. I don't know how else to explain it, other than the grease would just hold up this overly dyed, frazzled hair. Her clothes are about the same as always, nightwear and half sporty Valley Mom. All this is nothing when I see her face though. She has a huge black eye, and her eyes themselves are just completely insane. She's got pupils like dinner plates, and the outer rim, instead of white, is tinged with a deep yellow. I can't tell if she is sick or more hungover than any human I've ever seen. She comes to the counter and sparks up that same shtick she always does. What movies do you have? Where are they? How many copies? I try to be a little personable and say, hey T, it's been a while since I've seen you. We still don't have an updated system that allows me to search for those specifics. I can show you the shelves that might help you though. I'll never forget the look she gave me. Just this faraway nod, half smile with her mouth all jittery. She asked me if I was sure, which I said yes. Then she started backing up towards the exit. Unsure of what was going on, I figured she was in the middle of an episode, would see herself out, probably disappear for another few weeks. I'd heard of mentally ill people being stuck in loops of behavior. Maybe visiting the video store was part of her loop. Boy, how wrong was I though? The door opens not 30 seconds later, and a big, tall, sharp-dressed guy strolls in. I extend a welcome, but hesitate. This guy looks pissed. He's storming right up to the counter. I ask if there's anything I can help him with. He sets his hands on the countertop, and they are blinding, studded with all kinds of gold and silver, rusted diamonds in between them. He calmly explains that I'm the problem, and that he's here as a solution. Huh? I start to come back with something about how I'm just at work, just an employee here. If he wants the cash in the register or the pornos in the back, he can have them. The guy laughs at me, shakes his head, then explains that I've just upset his friend, who was just in here. Oh, you've gotta be kidding me. T, the crazy cracked out porn star who's been pestering me for months, somehow secured backup? I tell him that I don't know her at all. She's just a needy customer who wants to find her films. There's not an easy way for me to do that, so she'll just have to look over the titles herself. This guy cuts me off with a wave of his hand. Says he knows. He's heard every word. He's heard it so many times that he feels like it's happening to him, and now he needs to get involved. It turns out T was pretty much what I pegged her for. This guy was clearly gang or drug related, maybe even a kingpin. He acted like he was T's handler, almost like a pimp or something. She was so old there was no way he had her tricking. I mean, I guess there's a market for anything, but I got more of the vibe that he had a relationship with her and for himself. Whatever the case, it's now my problem. I'm looking up at this coke machine of a man, deciding if I should hit the security button. This is just a video store, so part of me didn't even think that would work, but it was down at the other end of the counter, and if I moved, this guy was gonna snatch me up for sure. He states T's full name, then her stage name. They were similar, probably more similar than you'd want them to be. I realized then that T was probably pretty easy to look up in the phone book, if you were clever enough. He then asked me which movies do you have with her in them. Obviously, he didn't want the same excuses I'd given before, so I threw my hands up in defeat. I logged into the computer beside me, pulled up the inventory list of the entire store, started doing it the old-fashioned way. I jotted down a short list of titles that I recognized and just started from there. It took me almost an hour to find every single tape, constantly double-checking the shelves and discount racks for hidden copies. The whole time, that guy just casually followed me around, not saying a word, just watching me gather them all up in a tub on the counter. He'd crack his knuckles, roll his neck, textbook intimidation stuff. It was like a scene from the Goodfellas. It was only after I started to pile up all the tapes that I realized just how extensive T's career was. She was a mainstream actress for like 20 years from what I could tell, and had been produced by some of the bigger studios throughout the decades. It occurred to me that this crackhead burnout probably still received checks for some of this stuff. Now the guy behind me made sense. As I said, I did it. That was it. I told him it'd take me a minute to ring them all out. He asked what I meant by that. I said a charge for all the films. I explained I couldn't just let 80 or 90 tapes just disappear from our store. The guy picks up the bin of movies with one arm, slides a pistol out of his waistband with the other, looks me up and down, sets the barrel on the counter, then asks me if we're good. I just nod, and with a sigh, tell him to take care. I called my boss after I saw them leave the parking lot, who in turn told me to call the police. Both of them showed up 20 minutes later. The police took a statement, and my boss filed a report of robbery, then fired me right there on the spot. I've thought a lot about that guy, who he was, and why they wanted those movies. I work in retail, and there are only 5 of us that work in the store, including our manager. We are a very, very tight-knit family, so we naturally have each other's backs for anything and everything. Tonight, my coworker and I were minding the store, and he needed to leave early for a dinner reservation with some friends that just got to town. So I covered the last 30 minutes alone. We work in an area that has a prominent homeless population, most of whom are wonderful people. After he left, within a few minutes, a very sketchy character came in that set my hair on end. This guy was about 6.5 feet tall, heavier set, and was generally intimidating. To add to the already scary vibe, he was holding a big gulp and a golf club. Nothing else on his person. I'm a shorter, smaller female, so now I'm just on edge. He didn't hesitate to make conversation with me, and it's my job to be friendly and make sales, so I jumped in, hoping I'm going to be harmless and coming back from the driving range or something. Even though there's no golf courses within 20 miles of our workplace. Obviously, since you're reading this, I was terribly wrong. This man still had a hospital bracelet on from his 2-month-long stay in a mental hospital. Was very, very interested in me and every aspect of my life. He asked what I was studying, which was psychiatry, and he was immediately put off, as he had a very bad experience. And I mean literally the moment he heard the word, it's like an alarm went off in his head. His whole expression changed completely. My heart does go out to people in this position who are clearly struggling, and it's my life's mission to help people like him. But no matter how much my heart went out to him, I was still very vulnerable. He then asked me the following questions. What's your name? Where do you live? Where do you go to school? When do you work? How often do you work? When is your next break? How old are you? Do you live alone? Is anyone else here? I lied to every single question, and when he demanded my phone number, I gave him the store phone number. I also told him my name was my manager's name, so that if he tried to make contact, he would be directed to someone that is not me. Thankfully, I was able to boot him out at close. Some of my answers were pretty vague, like where I lived, and that seemed to upset him a bit. Still, he left without much issue. When I left, I had changed my clothes and my hair to be a little less recognizable, and thank goodness that I did that, because he was waiting in the alley out back. I did my best not to notice and make it obvious, but I beelined for my car, which was in a parking lot across the street. This, unfortunately, gave him a bit of time, and he soon came wandering out of that alley. I didn't turn around. I just played it cool and stared at the crosswalk icon glowing across the street. It changed and I proceeded, just as I heard this guy sprinting up behind me. It's late. There's no one else around. I know what's about to happen. He's gonna hit me in the head or in the knee or whatever, and then drag me into that alley. My nerves break, and I finally turn back. He was standing at the edge of the sidewalk, just staring at me. Once I turn, he can see my face. He grumbles something, and then keeps following. Shit. I gave myself up now. Now he knows it's me. He even starts hollering the fake name that I gave him. I didn't respond, just picked up the pace and hustled to my car. I figured as long as I could get inside, I could probably get myself out of here. Still, I hear his shoes scuffling the asphalt, gaining on me. When I think he must literally be right behind me, I want to turn around and look, but instead, I just break into a full-on sprint. I can hear his steps stop a little and then hesitate. My outburst to get away must have caught him off guard. Just as I reach the door inside the key in, I turn back one last time. I don't see the man, but his hand, fingers wrapped around the handle of the golf club. It's so close that I can read some of the print on the hospital band that's hanging from his wrist. I was so terrified and reeling with shock that my knees buckled. My legs totally gave out from underneath me. As they did, the golf club went whistling overhead. It was all that prevented me from getting my brains bashed in. Not instincts, not training, just sheer terror. Fortunately, I fell backward, right into the driver's seat of my car. I yanked the door closed, locked it, and sped out of there like I stole the damn thing. I called the police and then my manager. The guy was picked up and booked that night. I even had to identify him at the station. Always, always trust your gut out there, people. I work in retail. Receiving shipments for our location is one of the things that I do for my job. Since I do the paperwork for it, I have to interact with the truck drivers who also bring the shipments in. It's a task-driven job. It requires a lot of organization, but also demands a pleasant personality because of all the interaction time with the drivers. Most of them are older men in their 40s to 60. I'm a woman in her mid-20s. This is relevant. Most of the drivers are great, helpful, and professional. But there was this one who was oddly talkative all the time. Nothing really weird, but sometimes irrelevant or mildly inappropriate conversation topics, like stuff he did back in college, his ex-girlfriends. You get the picture. I just figured he was outgoing and a bit quirky, so I was friendly with him, like I am to everyone. Until a coworker, a guy, who also works in receiving, but in a different department, told me that he only ever hears this driver talking to or about me. Apparently when I'm not in the room or in earshot, then he's silent, or talking about me, asking where I am. Then a completely different coworker said he overheard this guy referring to me as his wife when I wasn't there. So after hearing all this weird shit, I become less bubbly around him, kept the conversation strictly to business. If he ever said anything about his personal life, I would just ignore it, and then went about filing the paperwork. I wasn't rude to him or disrespectful, just simply stopped going out of my way to engage him in conversation. There was one time he got a little too friendly in the clerk's office, and my reaction was pretty knee-jerk. I couldn't help myself. I felt cornered because he was really laying in on the lovey-dovey stuff, right in front of other people. It was the strangest, most direct form of gaslighting I've ever seen. As if I just slide right up underneath him, like we've been dating for years. He made a comment, and I spun around and told him, and the innocent bystander clerk, that we were in no way involved, and our communication would be strictly professional from there on out. That was when he turned on me. Everything he said was an attack on my personality. They must be working you too hard. You're far less fun to be around than you used to. You used to be a happy person. I love my job. I'm very happy here. I just don't like being creeped on by old men. Eventually, he went as far to telling other people that I was unprofessional, basically a bitch, just straight up gossiping about me behind my back. And that was when I confided in my boss about how uncomfortable this guy was really making me. I actually pride myself on my outgoing nature. I'm bubbly by default. And the fact that he was causing me to have to change my personality around him, and then telling others that I was cold-hearted, simply just for keeping my distance. That was the line I drew. My boss filed a report. Everything died down after that, at least for a little while. My coworkers would still overhear something every now and again, but it seemed this old-timer was keen to who was on my side. I figured it was water under the bridge at that point, and we just let bygones be bygones. That was until the phone calls. Every day for 3 or 4 weeks. My phone would start blowing up at random times throughout the day at work, at home, and even in the middle of the night. I thought it was spam, but no one ever said anything. The number came up as unknown, so I didn't even know how to block them. Part of me had a suspicion that it had something to do with that old guy. During some of his good old day stories, he mistakenly caught to doing stuff exactly like this. Prank phone calls, leaving stuff on people's porches and cars, whatever. He got a kick out of messing with people he deemed to have wronged him. I started keeping tabs at work, asking my friends in other departments to keep their ears open for anything, especially anything the old guy thought was funny. I keyed them into my situation, and that if he talked to anyone about what he was doing, it'd be in a braggadocious way, and he'd be proud about it. Nothing came through the grapevine though, but every day my phone continued to ring. Some days, especially if I was at work, I just turned it off, dump it into my purse to get a little peace of mind. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Of course this sour old man had the time to mess with me. He drove a truck for a living. He was probably on the phone 18 hours a day. With renewed confidence, I let the calls roll off my back. I'd answer them and call the guy by name, tell him what I thought about him, then hang up. Even at work, I'd look him right in the eye, shake my phone at him, like we were long-lost pen pals. I could see he was getting underneath his skin. One night on the weekend, I woke up to my phone light. It wasn't buzzing, just the constant on and off screen. It was enough to get me. It's an unknown caller. I roll over and answer it. As I get ready to let out a string of vulgarity fly out of my mouth, I hear a loud honk outside my house. And I can also hear it through the phone. Now I'm legitimately creeped out. I get up and peek through the curtains to see this guy's truck in the middle of the street. The same truck he used for work. He hung up on me the second he saw the curtains part, then roared off into the dark. No more honks, no turnaround. I didn't know what to think. First my phone, and now my house. How the hell did he learn any of this information? I didn't go to sleep that night, but started putting together as many puzzle pieces as I could. By the end of the weekend, I'd constructed a pretty solid case against this asshole. Took it straight to my boss on Monday morning. I gathered that he must have been stealing my personal information from the files at work. This was the second time I was in his office about this particular guy, so I'd already created a paper trail. When I brought the new stuff against this clown, my boss was floored. He couldn't believe it. He went on to file a second report, but this time he made a direct announcement to the entire company and other companies that we were working with. It was the start of a chain that exposed a lot of scummy weirdos harassing the office girls.
This happened about 1 year ago. I'm a 20-year-old female, and I'd gotten a new retail job at a clothing store. It was my first week, and I had went through training with my coworkers on how to work the sales floor and the register. It was a fairly busy night, and I was placed in the home/accessory department. I was halfway through my department when I had spotted a weird man looking at me. He then says to me, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" And I thought he was gonna ask me about a store item. Well, I was wrong. He then asked me in a condescending tone while laughing, "Well, are you even old enough to be working here? I didn't know they hired 13 to 14-year-olds. I looked at him awkwardly and then responded back with, "Yes, sir, I'm old enough to be working here." I knew that he wanted to know my age by the tone of his voice. Then he looks at my name tag. I'll be using a fake name for privacy reasons, but my name is pretty unique. But then he says, "Faith? Is that even a real name?" I just laugh awkwardly and say yes that it is, and just continue working in my department. I get to where the pillow department is, and as I'm fixing the pillows, he's yet again behind me, and then says, "Oh, what do you know? It's you again." And he then grabs a pillow, fluffing it, and then asks, "Are there any pillows here that are bigger? You see, I have a big bed in a big house, and these pillows are just way too small for me." I just looked at him kind of awkwardly, not knowing what to say, and tell him, "Well, this is all we have, sir. I'm really sorry if it's not to your liking." As I'm getting towards the end of my department, I get called up to cover my coworker's register. And when I call up the next customer, it's the creep again. He's just looking at me up and down, and I'm ringing up his items as quickly as possible, trying not to talk to him. He then says to me in a creepy tone, "You know, I'm a smell kind of guy. I like smells." And no joke, he makes a loud sniffing sound in the process, then says, "You smell so damn good right now." I just looked at him in shock, not knowing how to handle this weird situation. I just told him thank you and to have a good night, and that I have other
Feels good.
customers waiting.
Okay, we're back.
He flashed me a creepy smile, then telling me, "I'll be seeing you again very soon." That's about all that. And luckily, I didn't see him again.
My apologies. I'm so sorry.
What a creepy ass guy and experience. Even thinking about it gives me the shivers.
Now we have a problem with the recording.
During the pre-internet era, I worked in a local pizza place. I was only 17 at the time. It was a nice operation. The staff and management got along well. Try saying that was
You will try, yeah, you failed. You and I cannot, you failed, you.
We'll call her Brittany. It was very
Do
much
do
a
do
free
do
spirit.
do 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 do
She owned
do.
a car.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Well, then your love.
And closed up at around 10. Usually leaving at about 11 after I often leave her a line of minutes.
What are you doing?
Sometimes you can hitchhike home.
Okay, we'll see. What?
They always kept pepper spray in a small notebook.
Baby sweat, baby sex
You take his job and you do the kind of stuff that only Prince was saying about, so put your hands down my pants. Yes, I bet you feel nuts. Yes, I'm Cisco. Yes, I'm Hebert. And you're getting 2 thumbs up. You had enough of 2 and touched you. Want to rough you out of bounty. I want you smart. Stop. Ash Brown. Coming quicker than FedEx. You got me reaching my apex. Just like a Coca-Cola, you feel inclined to make me rise an hour early, just like daylight saving time. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. Sweat baby, taxes, drop me and you do the kind of stuff that only Prince will sing about. Put your hand down my pants and I bet you feel nuts. Yes, I'm Cisco, yes, I'm Hebert, and you're getting 2 thumbs up. You had enough of 2 and touch, you want to rush your head about, you want you swap with the shopper.
Good thing I didn't choose.
She just kept putting me on the bar with my bike and saying that I could bike her home. Of course, that wasn't an option. So we both laughed.
Por favor.
I offered to stay with her until she got a ride. But she said no thanks, and that no one would stop if they saw her with a guy on a bicycle.
No music, dude.
That we were up to something. So we said our goodbyes and headed off in separate directions. She didn't report to work on her next scheduled day, which was the following Monday. This was highly unusual. She was never late for work, or missed a shift without calling. A couple of days later, her mom came in, frantically asking if her daughter had been to work. She hadn't come home or called since Friday night. If she was coming home late or staying at some place, she would always call her mother. We were all freaked out a little bit. Her mother eventually reported her missing, and the police came around and questioned both me and the owner
Tree.
about that Friday night. The owner being a middle-aged woman and me being a goofy 17-year-old kid didn't interest them much as potential suspects or even persons of interest. After the police left, the teasing started. Restaurant workers can be a hard bunch, especially the kitchen staff, and most have a very dark sense of humor, at least the ones that I worked with. This went on for the next few shifts,
Meow.
and things didn't help when it became evident that I was the last person to ever see her alive. The
Snape.
cops came back into the pizza place and questioned me again, and also my parents, which of course freaked them out. Finally, about a week after she went missing, a coworker was really giving me hell about it, telling the waitresses not to get too close to me or they might disappear. I finally had enough of his underhanded remarks. After he sarcastically asked me where I hid the body, I snapped back. At the bottom of the fucking lake. You want to join her? Of course, everyone who overheard this went, ooh, and egged us both on. Being 17 and stupid, I said, yeah, I put her on the handlebars,
Yums.
rode up the dam, and threw her
There's
off.
no way.
Now shut up and leave me alone. That quieted everyone down. He ended up calling me a few names, and we eventually returned to our duties. Well, Brittany's body turned up in the reservoir. She had been sexually assaulted and stabbed to death.
Sad story, dude.
There was a reason her body wasn't discovered soon.
Leave the paraplegic alone, please. Sweat, baby, sex is a text to drop me and you do that kind of stuff only Prince will sing about, so put your hands down my pants, yet I bet you'll feel nuts. Yes, I'm Cisco, yes, I'm eager, rest you're getting 2 thumbs up, you had enough of 2 and touch, you want it rough, you're out of bound, I want you like a mouthful hash brown. Coming quicker than FedEx, you got me reading my apex.
I was eliminated as a suspect.
Good. Good.
They made an arrest a
Good.
short time after that.
Good.
There was a man they had suspected
Good.
of a similar incident the previous year. He confessed to both murders and exchanged for a life sentence. Obviously, there was no connection between me
Good,
and him,
good.
but I still felt awful.
God.
When I went to Brittany's
God.
memorial, I just sat in the back quietly.
Good.
By that point, word
Good.
had
Oh,
gotten around
yeah.
about my morbid
Good.
joke
30.
that turned out to be true.
Third Alfred Jen.
I didn't attend the burial
Alfred Jen's really
service.
good.
I didn't want to upset her family.
Damage. Max
A
health.
few years later,
1
I got
damage.
word at a gas
Landmine.
station
Defense.
and had the misfortune of selling an arsonist the fuel he used to set his own house on fire. But that's a story
For another time. How did I know that? How did he know to say that? I don't know. So S.H.I.E.L.D. were the first one to finish.
This took place almost
Critical.
2 years ago.
Chance nice. That's
I was
important.
26
Okay.
at the time.
So
I was
you're...
in Washington on sort of a vacation visiting my then fiancée. We'll call her Sarah for the sake of this story. It was
We
her
upgraded level in
graduation
each of the
for
flame
basic
bots.
training. It was a big deal for her family.
Okay.
And she asked me to be there for it. So I said why not, and booked a flight. I would be arriving a week before the rest of her family, so her and I could have some time together, just the 2 of us.
Just the 2 of
All of
us.
her family there for the occasion. She
Okay.
stayed with me at my hotel during this time. and
If I do... No,
eventually
that's too
decided
much.
that we wanted to get
8
out and
times
explore
5
some
is
of the
4,000, by the way.
historical sites that Washington
It's
has
4,200.
I had never been there.
Or
of
420.
course, so the idea piqued my
So
interest.
Buddy
Once
is...
we arrived at our location,
Baby smoker over there.
and seeing all the sights, from the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, the Congress Building, and even the White House. It was a very fun and exciting experience
Good.
for myself to see all of these places, as I had missed out going on a school trip in high school to visit them. Sarah at the time seemed to appreciate my interest in them, and we basically enjoyed ourselves. After we finally decided that we had had enough of walking around and were ready to go back to the hotel.
Avec Récompense Triangle, vous pouvez obtenir
Le
des
landmine.
Canadiens tailleux chez Petro-Canada, à échanger chez Sport Expert, l'équipeur et Canadian Tire. Récompense Triangle. Faites le plein de
See, I'm having a little bit of
récompenses
problem with
Canada
the
et-
quality of the stream. So maybe if I do this...
Depuis quand dormir, c'est négatif? La
L'avenir appartient à ceux qui se lèvent tôt. On dormira quand on sera mort. Pas sûr. Comme si être bien dans son lit, c'était manquer sa vie. Ben non, c'est profiter de la vie. Ça prévient les mines basses et les mèches courtes. Ça évite de s'emporter contre Simon qui réchauffe encore du poisson. Ouf. Dormir, ça devrait être un plaisir. Un rêve même. Donc dormez sans culpabilité.
Take Insta360's new X4 as the counterpoint. All of the flagship features are here, plus 8K.
Which sounds like an imaginary number to one who grew up on HD DVD. What that means in a 360 camera is that I can reframe on anything and still be at 4K.
So I essentially have a 360 camera and the normal camera in one. The Insta360 didn't hide features just because they exist on the Ace Pro.
Case in point, wearing a helmet, wearing gloves, I still get gesture control to start and stop recording.
And I still get Bluetooth connectivity to capture my voice through a Cargo or Senna. So if I can only afford one camera to capture my 12-hour trip, I actually quickly blow and take the mid-range X4.
Yeah, they're not saying. You know what they're not saying? The battery lasts an hour. Oops.
We used the Uber app to call for a ride. We had used it before to arrive and had no issues, so we decided just to use it again for the ride back. Sarah made the request on her phone while I sat down under the shade.
Okay, let's go.
Waited.
Need to work, Kinky.
I was pretty tired from all the walking we had done, and I could feel that I was ready to get back to the hotel for a nice long nap. Eventually, after about 10 minutes of waiting, a car pulled up in front of us. Sarah mentioned to me that this must be our Uber, as the place that they had stopped at was not a parking spot. I stood up and followed her to the car. First she opened the back door and stepped inside, asking the driver, "Hey, you're the Uber, right?" He gave a slight nod to her without saying anything. And I then followed her into the car, shutting the door behind me. Now looking back on this, I realize how dumb we were. We should have been asking for the driver's name and verified it on the app. I didn't have access to any of this myself, as Sarah was the one who had made the request on her phone, so none of these concerns occurred to me at the time.
My apologies.
As we both sat in the backseat of the car, which was a gray-colored van, the driver didn't say a word. I found this a bit odd, as any other Uber driver we had had would at least greet me once and confirm my name and the address I was supposed to be driven to.
Good.
This guy?
Thanks.
Nothing. The vehicle began moving without the driver acknowledging me.
Oh, I forgot to do the shit.
Other than that brief nod he had given to Sarah. I did pick up on the picture that popped up on Sarah's phone did not match the driver of the van. My heart sank into the pit of my stomach.
This
I
video.
then knew that we had gotten ourselves into a situation I never thought that we would be in. I slowly looked back towards the driver, but I didn't say anything.
So sure.
I didn't know what this man's intentions were, or what he was
Just-
capable of. I honestly did not want to find out. I just knew at that moment that I had to get us both out of this van. I leaned forward and told the man that we had changed our minds, and would be fine with being let out where we were. This was an attempt to get us out of the situation without alarming the man that we knew. He glanced at me through the rearview mirror, in the first actual acknowledgement of me since we had gotten into the vehicle. I caught his glance as he stared at me without saying a single word in what felt like minutes. It was probably only about 10 seconds. He didn't stop the van.
Ouch.
And he didn't
Yeah,
say
yeah, yeah,
anything
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
response to me, and just kept driving as if nothing
My
had been
apologies.
said. My patience had run out, and I knew that whatever this man had in store for
Okay,
me
it's going. Stop fucking
wasn't
being lazy.
I then did the only thing I could think of in that moment, and reached into my pocket, pulling out my pocket knife I always carried on me. I flipped out the blade, and without wasting another second, I told the driver, "We know that you're not the Uber. I don't know what your plan is here, but I have a knife. If you don't pull over right now, I'm going to stick it right in your temple." The driver's eyes quickly looked at me again in the rearview mirror, and I knew he could see me gripping the knife in my hand. He then quickly pulled the van over, and I heard the doors unlock. Sarah and I wasted no time getting out as fast as we could. The moment we were both outside, the man sped off.
Oh yes. Come on, dude. Come
We took a
on.
moment to gather ourselves as Sarah was having a panic attack.
The tablet is lagging a lot.
My mind around what the hell just
My
happened.
apologies.
Sarah quickly pulled out her phone and responded to our actual Uber driver and informed him of our location and asked if he wouldn't mind picking us up. The Uber driver arrived a few minutes later, and this time we made sure it was the right one. We told him everything that had happened. He then informed us of something that made the blood in my veins turn to ice. He told us that there have recently been multiple instances where people were posing as Uber drivers in that area, as it was easy to find many tourists around there who wouldn't think twice about getting into a car thinking that it was an Uber or a Lyft. The guy told us that we were very lucky to have gotten out of that. We made it back to the hotel without issue and quickly reported this incident to the local police. We gave the description of the unknown driver and the van he was driving.
My
The police
apologies.
told us that they would call us with any further information, but we never heard back from them. So I'm assuming the man was never caught or found. That worries me because he could still be out there doing this to somebody else.
You already have enough.
Again, I realized how stupid we both had been and how we didn't verify the vehicle before getting into it. But let this be a reminder to everyone listening to do just that, and always make sure you're aware of your surroundings.
Oh, we have a
This
wedding.
story happened in September of 2007. I live in Lyon, France. I was 18 years old when this happened. I was taking a train back to my hometown from the south of France. I visited my grandparents in the countryside before beginning my first year at university. I left on a Sunday at around 7 p.m. and I got on the intercity train. Here's a detail that will be important later on. The train was one of those old saloon door trains. This means it was possible to open the door while the train was still moving, no matter how fast it was going. It also seemed like this train didn't have any cameras. Once I got on the train, it was mostly empty. As expected, it didn't have any air conditioning, but I couldn't afford the high
Okay, let's go. This thing. Okay. Good. Ow.
Explosion, and they were staring at me like I was a sirloin steak, the kind that costs more than $100. I decided to go into the next car and use the bathroom. But right after getting out of the bathroom, the three men surrounded me. They all had knives. One of them then yelled at me, "Give us all your money or we're throwing your ass off the train." I froze in fear, and out of nowhere, one of them struck me in the back of the head, and then they dragged me to the door of the train. One of them opened the door and tried to kick me out while the train was still moving at high speed. Half of my body was out of the train. I was trying hard to fight them off and prevent them from pushing me onto the gravel. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I thought I was going to die. Suddenly the train began to slow down. All three of them forced me off the train, and I landed onto some
Carte de crédit.
If you're happy and you know it, say I will.
Everything I say is the truth. Make her disappear. That lion.
She didn't just hate her brain, though. She hated her body. She hated her life.
Guys, they just.
No music, please.
Yeah, I know. 3 years in prison for attempted murder. And this is France. This is just how things go here. But at the end of the day,
Make her disappear just like
glad to be
poof.
alive. For some reason, it has made a resurgence and has almost become an unwelcome guest in my mind. Perhaps surely it will help me get over it once and for all.
Okay, let's go.
It was 1986. I was 16 at the time. I was in Indianapolis at Union Station. It was around Christmas time or just after. I was with my mom, my 2-year-old sister, and my 21-year-old uncle. At this time, my uncle still lived in Indianapolis, while the rest of us lived in southwest Indiana. We were getting ready to leave and
I have a headache.
It was very cold out that day.
A headache.
And I was bundled up in my jacket, scarf, and gloves. My mom, God rest her soul, could talk a dead man back to life. So I was just waiting for her long-winded wrap-up. It was getting hot standing inside Union Station while wearing all that clothing. So I told her, "It's getting too hot in here. I'm gonna step out for a bit." My mom nodded, and I went out. There was no snow.
Oh, I need to get pills.
Just perfect for me to cool down for a bit.
Whew.
Not even a minute or so of standing outside, right by the double doors, a white Chevrolet pulls up. 2 big men with crew cuts were sitting in the driver and passenger seats. They were at least 6'5", and probably about 280 pounds each. I figured they were probably from our local military base, but that was just an assumption. Immediately after seeing me, they stop at the curb, roll down the window, and smile. "Hey, come here. I want to talk to you," the passenger said. Bear in mind that I'm 16. If this were to happen to me today, things would be much different. But as a kid, I was very polite, almost to the point of being docile. I was always very apologetic when I thought I'd screwed up in some way. I looked up and I saw a streetlight above me. I looked back at them and started apologetically stating, "Oh, I'm sorry. This is not what it looks like." At that moment, it was more amusing to me I hadn't really considered that I was in some kind of danger. They kept reiterating that they just wanted to talk to me. And I kept explaining
July 7, right?
I'm not a street girl.
Janvier, février, mars, avril, mai, juin, juillet. Yes, sir.
Wrong impression.
Yes, sir,
It occurred
Miller.
to me that they weren't listening to a word that I was saying. All of a sudden, the passenger gets out and starts moving toward me like a hungry dog staring at a T-bone steak. A switch went off in my head, and I was no longer apologetic or embarrassed. I was just pissed, and I yelled, "You don't have to get out of your car if you just want to talk to me. I can hear you just fine from here."
Ouch.
I suddenly found the 70% Irish and Scandinavian heritage on my
Right.
dad's side, and it came out in full force. I was proud of myself for having shown some backbone, but there was still a towering, hulking man coming right towards me. I bolted back inside, where my mom was still yammering. Upon seeing me, my mom and uncle were immediately alarmed. They hadn't seen the man get out of his car, but they could tell that I was frightened. I told them what happened, and my uncle asked, "What were they driving?" "A white Chevrolet." My mom then cut in, "Go get him." My uncle bolted out of the door and down the street, chasing after the Chevrolet. "Get the hell out of the car, so I can bust out your teeth." My mom was livid, but I could tell that my baby sister was getting upset, so I tried talking her down. My uncle came back in a few minutes later, winded and worn out. When he caught his breath, he said, "I almost caught up with them when I got to that traffic light at the end of the block, but they peeled out right before I got there." Well, that put a major damper on our trip to Indianapolis. The moral of the story is, ladies and gents, don't allow your good manners to supersede your own safety. Who wants to die being polite?
Facts.
This is something that happened a few years ago. I buy things on eBay here and there, and have been doing so for years.
Too loud.
I like to collect things like sports memorabilia, and occasionally I bid on auctions. One time, I saw this autographed football that was signed by one of my favorite players. It had 0 bids, and the starting bid was pretty low. I expected it to go way up, but I entered my maximum bid and then moved on, thinking maybe I had a shot at winning it. The auction still had several days left. Over the next few days, I actually forgot all about it. Then, I got a notification that I'd won the auction and I could pay for the signed ball now. When I looked, I couldn't believe it. Not one single other person had bid on the ball, and I had won. I don't remember the exact price. I think it was maybe like $10. It was probably worth a lot more, maybe over $50. I was really excited and paid the money. The very next night, though, I was at home when my phone rang. During this time, I had a landline phone that I had for years. I did not recognize the number on the caller ID, so I didn't answer it. What followed shortly after was a message. A man's voice came onto my answering machine, and he said that he was trying to reach me and mentioned my name. He said that I had won his auction for the football, and unfortunately nobody else bid on it. Then he said that I was getting way too good of a deal, and it wasn't fair at all, but he was going to do me a favor and mail it anyways. He went on to say that he expects me to leave him a very good review after this. Now, this rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like how he called me up on my personal phone to say this. I won his auction fair and square. If he didn't want the risk of somebody paying $10 for it, then he shouldn't have started the bidding so low. He knew the risks. I went on eBay and looked at some other listings of the same player's autograph on a football. They were going for a little over $50, so the guy lost out on about $40. It's not that big of a deal. Just 2 days later, I received the football in the mail. It was fast shipping, because I guess the guy lived in the same state as me. After receiving the football, it was packaged well, and just how it looked online. I went on eBay to leave the good review that the seller wanted so badly. To be honest, I really didn't want to leave him a good review after what he did. It kind of annoyed me. But when I logged into eBay, I noticed that he had already left me a negative review. On eBay, sellers and buyers can leave each other reviews. You can leave it positive, negative, or neutral. This affects your feedback, and people are less likely to buy or sell to you if you have a bad rating. Mine had been perfect to that point, and his was pretty good. I think it was like 99% positive. His negative review of me said, "Buyer got way too good of a deal." Clearly, he was upset about it, but I did not feel that it was fair for him to leave me a bad review. What was I supposed to do? I bid and I won. Did he expect me to offer to pay more for no reason? It angered me that he left me a bad review, so I left him a bad review. I said what happened. I said, "I won the auction from this seller for a good deal." He then called my home phone complaining and demanded that I leave him a good review. He sent me a message after this, which I ignored. I didn't even open it. Then, the next day, he called me again. I didn't answer, and he left another message. This one was very angry. He berated me for about 3 minutes straight. I didn't even listen to the whole thing and deleted it, but this didn't stop him. He called me again several times the next day. I got frustrated, and luckily I had call blocker installed on my landline. I blocked his number so that he would finally stop bothering me. For several days, everything was fine. But then, one night, I was at home, and out of nowhere got a knock on my front door. I walked down to the front door, but before opening it, looked outside. It was a man who I did not recognize. I didn't know why he would be here. I answered the door, and the man standing there mentioned my name and asked if that was me. I said yes. He then told me that he sold me a football on eBay not long ago. As soon as I heard that, I slammed the door right in his face. This caused him to start aggressively banging on my door. I yelled at him to go away or I was calling the cops. He was yelling and demanding that I give him the ball back, saying that I scammed him. I couldn't believe this guy. I'm not sure if he was really just mad about the ball at this point, or if he was just mad at me. He kept standing there and knocking on my door every so often. After he didn't leave for over 10 minutes, I called the police on him. When they arrived about 10 minutes after that, the man was still there. They spoke with him, and he gave his side of the story, which I'm not even sure what that was. An officer came inside and spoke to me, and said that the man outside kept claiming that I scammed him and stole his autographed football. I told the officer the whole story, and I showed him eBay proof on my phone. After a while, the police ruled in favor of me. They said that the transaction was fair and I owned the football. They told the man that he had to leave my property and told him not to come back. Eventually, the man agreed and left. After that, I never heard from him again. I still have the football, and every time I look at it, I laugh when I remember the crazy story that goes with it. Several months ago, I sold my PlayStation 5 on eBay. My friend was getting rid of his PS5 for an Xbox, so he sold it to me for a really good price. His PlayStation 5 was a little bit nicer than the version that I had, so I decided to sell mine. I listed it for a good price on eBay as a buy it now rather than an auction. Somebody bought it after just 2 days, and the very next day, I packaged it up really good and shipped it. I sent it to the address that was given from the eBay.
What, 4 or 5 months? I think it's more.
At the Home Depot, we make the doing easier. So no matter what projects you're tackling this season, you can take them all from do to done. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
HelloFresh, c'est bien plus que des recettes. C'est des moments avec des gens qui nous sont chers, des
Moments.
éclats de rire, c'est de la création et de la complicité. HelloFresh, c'est du bonheur qui se partage.
L'appel d'un regard, l'envoûtement d'une monture parfaite, le magnétisme animal.
Oui, l'animal, là, mais moi, ce qui est important pour moi, c'est d'être pris en charge par des pros. C'est du monde en qui t'as confiance, là.
Au réseau, on vous voit comme personne.
And 4 days after it was sold, I got a message on eBay from the buyer. He told me that he recently moved and forgot to put his new address on his eBay account. Then he asked me that I ship it to his new address instead. I responded and told him that I already shipped the PlayStation several days ago and that it was too late. The guy freaked out, saying that I should give him a refund because he wasn't going to ship it. I told him that he should have realized that either before he bought it or within the first day. What was I supposed to do? Sit around waiting for his blessing for me to ship it? I mean, normally people want things shipped as fast as possible after they buy it. He said that he was going to report me to eBay, but that didn't really scare me because I knew I had done nothing wrong. I told the guy that the package will have his name on it, so he should either go to his old address and pick it up, or contact whoever now lives there and ask them to send it to him. In my mind, that was a very logical solution. Obviously, if it was at the wrong address, there was a chance that somebody would steal it, but I mailed it in a box where it wasn't obvious that it was a PS5. The guy did not seem to think my ideas were good. He just told me that he needed a refund, and he kept threatening me, saying that he would have my eBay account banned. I told him that I wasn't going to refund him. Over the next few days, the guy kept harassing me, sending me messages. He kept saying that I had to give him a refund. He really wanted the money, but I wasn't going to give it to him. I just ignored him. So about a week later, I was looking at some of the messages that he sent me, and I decided to look him up, just for the heck of it. His username seemed to be his actual name. It was a first name, an underscore, and then a last name and a bunch of numbers. The last name was somewhat unique sounding, so I thought that I might be able to find him. I wanted to know what this guy looked like that was harassing me so much. I went onto Facebook and entered his name. Just one result came up, and it was a younger looking man. His page was public, so I could see everything that he posted and stuff, and he was quite active.
Ouch!
I scrolled down just a little bit and saw a post that nearly blew my mind. He had posted a picture of a PlayStation 5 with the caption, "Just got this bad boy in the mail. Hit me up if you want to play some COD." The PlayStation looked just like the one that I had sold, and it was dated just 3 days after I had mailed the PlayStation, and the very same day that the guy told me that he had the wrong address. This guy was totally trying to scam me. It was a pretty bad attempt too, to be honest. I screenshotted the post and then sent it to him on eBay. The guy claimed that it wasn't him. Then he backtracked and said that it was his friend's PS5, not his. Then he backtracked again and called me a curse word. After that, I never heard from him again.
Ouch.
I buy things on eBay all the time. I've bought things from video games to phones and even computers. I've also sold a couple of items as well. This is something that took place just last year. My mom's birthday was coming up, and I wanted to get her a new phone because the one that she was using was old and slow. She uses an iPhone, and I think she had like a 7 or 8 or something. I was looking up newer ones and was trying really hard to find a great deal. I should have just paid a fair price and bought one from one of those companies that refurbish them. That way, you know what you're getting, and everything is handled pictures of the phone and what appeared to be the person's house. In the listing, the seller said that it worked great, but they had gotten a different phone and no longer needed it. It seemed legit, and I looked at the seller, and they didn't have any other items for sale, but did have a 99% rating. When I saw where the seller was located, I noticed that it was in a city very close to me, only like 30 minutes away. That meant it would probably only take like a day or 2 to ship. I decided to buy it, and felt really good with the money that I would be saving. A couple of days later, and the phone arrived in the mail. As soon as I unboxed it though, I realized that I had been scammed. The phone that I received was not even close to what I bought. It was one of those cheap Android phones that you can get for like $40 at Walmart. I really couldn't believe it. I went onto eBay and compared what it said I bought versus what I received. I had gotten scammed badly. I contacted the seller, demanding an explanation. When I did, I got no response. After not hearing back from him, I contacted eBay and reported his profile as well. I now saw that he had another listing of the same phone that I bought.
13.
I left a negative review warning anybody else and telling them what had happened. I hoped that nobody else would fall for his scam.
14.
After several days of trying to contact the seller and communicating with eBay,
14.
things finally got resolved. I was able to get a refund from my bank, and I was told that the account got suspended as well. I was able to buy my mom an actual iPhone for her birthday. I was still mad about what happened though, but not long after I found out the account had been banned. I think the same night, or else the next one. It was late at night, and I was literally in bed about to fall asleep. I was on my phone until I got tired. It was probably a little bit after midnight, and suddenly I heard a loud bang at the back of my house. During that time, I rented a smaller house, which I lived by myself in. I got up from my bed and walked to the doorway. The sound came from the back of my house on the other side. Then I heard it again. It was followed by another bang, which I could hear was from the kitchen window at the back of the house. My bedroom was at the front of the house, so it was a ways away, but I could still hear it very clearly because of how loud it was. Somebody was there. I heard whoever was there start hitting the window repeatedly. I didn't waste any time, I went back inside my bedroom and locked the door behind me. Then I got my phone and called the police. I told them that it sounded like somebody was trying to break into my house. Shortly after, I heard glass breaking. They had succeeded in breaking in. I let the police know, and they said that some officers should arrive shortly. Then I heard more loud noises. This time, inside. It sounded like whoever was inside was just destroying things or hitting everything in sight. I heard glass breaking, chairs falling over, and other loud noises. This went on for about a minute straight, and then stopped. Things became very silent after. I heard a little bit of noise coming from the back of the house, as if somebody was walking. Then that stopped too, and everything was completely silent. I remained in my room until the police got there. When I came out of my room, I saw that everything in my kitchen had been all messed up. My back window was smashed, glass was all over the place, and lots of other things were on the floor. Several dishes and cups had been smashed.
I have to go pick up a package. So,
lots of things from the cabinet.
oh, 13. I can do one more.
I saw several dents in the cabinets and furniture. They basically just trashed my kitchen and left. I told the police everything that I could, and then they left. I stayed with my parents for the rest of the night, and the entire next week as well.
And I'll have a couple of videos to film.
And I got some new furniture. I only lived in that house for a few months after, and I don't live there anymore. Since then, everything's been fine, but I never found out who did it. I truly believe that it was the person who scammed me on eBay. I think they were angry that I got their account taken down. If they were running that blatant of a scam, there's no telling what they could do. Plus, they knew my address from shipping me the phone, and I had seen that they lived not very far away from me. Luckily, I don't live there anymore. Hopefully, nobody else gets scammed.
The pandemic forced a lot of people to search for new employments and opportunities, especially during the initial economic onset. Uber Eats, DoorDash, Amazon, all of them saw crazy surges in traffic when cities ordered people to stay indoors. Many places deemed these drivers essential workers, which kept me employed for several unstable months throughout COVID. I became a delivery driver out of necessity back then, but I actually still had to do it part-time on the weekends still. My story takes place during 2020, when no one really knew what the future had in store. I was working for a big-name delivery company in one of the largest cities in the United States.
Oh, what the
At the time, I was constantly behind by at least a day's worth of deliveries, if not more. Strikes are going on. People are ordering more stuff than ever before. It was a lot to handle, and it made a pretty high-stress work environment. One day, I see a meme about how all we do is pee in the water bottles and then lose packages. Honestly, it was the golden age for delivery driver memes. Because of how behind I was on my route, I started working overtime pretty much every
Let's go to the bathroom again.
Instead of delivering from 9 to 5, I'd start at 8 in the morning, and then just go until I was totally burnt out, which is usually around 7 p.m. Maybe a little longer if I had a Red Bull that day. It was one of my last packages for the night, and I remember thinking to myself that I could just wait till morning and be my first delivery the next day. I was really hungry and just wanted to put my feet up. But the destination was nearby. I'm a go-getter, so I just went. And the parcel was no bigger than my fist. It wasn't spending the night in my truck, so I wish I wasn't so stubborn. Why didn't I just go home like I wanted to? The essential worker tag was going to my head. I pull up outside of this apartment complex, and I'm talking chalk line outlines on the sidewalk, caution tape rippling in the breeze. Not literally, but you get what I mean. Groups of guys patrolling the parking lot, moving around the dark corner. Big dogs barking from every tiny door. Bullet holes in some of the cars.
Thank you.
I'm in a big city, and some of the underbelly is seedy, almost unsightly. I scan the package in my hand. I leave the truck and search the actual address. From what I can see, it seems to be a ground floor resident. And thank God I don't have to climb 10 flights of stairs just to hand off this bulk chapstick, or whatever the hell it is. I lock the truck behind me just to be safe. There's nothing in it to steal, but this neighborhood is just not worth gambling in. After perusing around, I find the building that it's actually in, and then finally the unit. It's a dingy corner apartment with all the windows covered with all kinds of crazy shit. Tin foil, movie posters, food boxes, like cereal, you name it. It's all blocking the light out of this dump. I get a weird feeling the second I see it, but hey, I'm almost out of here. I walk around to the front and find a guy leaning against a tree, smoking a cigarette. I gave him a courtesy nod, to which he offers a two-finger salute. Standard guy exchange in my city. I turn my heel and approach the front door. I've already decided I don't want to be here anymore, so I hit the bell and place the package on the floor. As I'm standing back up, the door rips open in front of me with this agitated energy. It's every driver's nightmare on shift. The irritating panic where you have to be the recipient of whoever wants to jam you up like they're a cop. As I get upright, I can see this is different though. This guy's real thin, half-dressed, and just covered in what I can only assume would be track marks. Dirty, unwashed, and the living room behind him was disgusting. We make eye contact, I say hello, and then I turn to leave. "What the hell, man? I've been waiting for you all day," he shouts at me. I turn back around and shrug, offer my normal apology. "Hey, we're understaffed, man. What more can I say?" "Well, I think I saw you drop my package, no?" I come to a full stop. I have no idea what this guy is talking about. I point at the one at his feet and asked if he meant that one. "Yeah, man, I watched you throw it against the door. It's probably broken." I start to argue, but the whole thing is a racket. The guy behind me smoking a cigarette is a friend of the guy in the apartment. The guy in the apartment says, "Hey, did you see him do it?" And of course, the cigarette guy nods and says, "Yep, I saw the whole thing." Now this is turning into an actual problem. Not just them trying to report me or something, but being surrounded by potentially dangerous criminals. They try to usher me inside the apartment so we can get it all worked out. But I have my own protocol to follow, and right near the top of the list is never get made to go anywhere, especially on shift. The guy in the apartment pulls out a gun right out of his pants pocket and points it right at my face. The entire conversation stops and we're all just looking at the trigger, waiting. He asked me to reconsider going inside, and that all of this is just a big misunderstanding. The guy with the cigarette puts his smoke out, grabs my elbow, and then leads me inside. My heart is pounding through my chest at this point. Anything could happen. After we get into the living room and they shut the door, all of my suspicions are confirmed. This place is a crack house, without a doubt, and these two clowns are a couple of dealers. Radical, exactly where I want to be. The guy puts the pistol away pretty much the second they got the door locked. He seemed even nervous to have it out, which did come as a relief to me. Not a fan of him waving it around either. The scariest part was actually the door. Once they got me inside, the whole situation evolved into an episode of the Three Stooges. They tried to call my office for 15 minutes. They were so strung out, they couldn't even look at the phone for longer than a minute to actually pull up the number and then hit dial. From what I gathered, these guys have run out of whatever they were actually addicted to and were filling out the cravings with whatever they could get their hands on. To say these guys were high wasn't accurate. It looked like they hadn't slept in days, running on fumes of whatever dust was left at the bottom of the bag. That's when they came up with the scam that they were trying to pull. Like everyone else, they'd seen dozens of videos online of hairless drivers dumping packages over fences and things like that. So they ordered something small and cheap off of Amazon, then painstakingly waited at the door for it to arrive, just to peg a fake crime on an innocent, unsuspecting driver. I wondered how long that guy had been leaning up against the tree, waiting for me to show up. They were completely crazy. It was actually kind of entertaining. They thought they were going to get a payout of some kind, right in the middle of the night. Like us delivery guys carry a little fallback cash just in case we break something. I couldn't quite understand the logic, but I appreciate the desperation. I encouraged them just a little, just to see how far they'd actually go, how much more they'd come up with to justify all this craziness. Trying to get them to just focus on the phone was the funniest part, though. I had to keep it within reason. These guys did force me in here. They did have a gun, so it wasn't all fun and games or anything. Something got their attention in the back of the apartment. Both of their heads snapped and they reacted to something that I couldn't see or hear. I'm assuming it was just typical hallucinations from staying awake for so long. Either way, they both thought that they could hear someone breaking in and sneaking around the back bedroom. One of them is turning the drawers in the kitchen upside down looking for a flashlight. The other guy's just yelling, keeping an eye on the dark hall in front of them. They don't find a flashlight, but they're both holding cell phones, and this seems to be kind of my chance, so I tell them both of their phones have a flashlight. They just have to turn it on. They both go mental at this realization and frantically flip their lights on. They tell me to keep an eye on the front door and watch their backs. I nod like we're old war buddies, and I never let them down. As they went down the hallway and checked the rooms, I slowly shuffled back to the door and unlatched the deadbolt. The last thing I saw was the glare of the cell phone lights against the dingy back wall, and the shaky silhouettes of a pistol going from one room to the other. Absolute chaos. I wasn't out of the woods yet, though. I still needed to get back to my truck in the sketchy complex and to navigate my way out of the slums and back into the city. It was much later than I thought, and all I wanted to do was just get home. I went from a walk to a light jog as to not draw too much attention. Everything was going smoothly until I reached the parking lot when I heard something behind me. I still don't know exactly what I heard, but it sounded like someone running up on me. So I whirled around and there's no one there. Alright, now I'm hearing things. As I turn to face back into the parking lot, I rotate just in time and step into the angled antenna of one of the car that's nearest to me. It had been bent at the base, so it just jutted out instead of going straight up and down. That antenna was also perfectly level with my eye, and it pushed right beneath the lid and then right behind my actual eye. I harpooned my own face in a mad dash to get the hell out of this place. There's no grace in that reaction. In a panic, I flailed backward to get away from whatever was causing the pain, only to injure myself worse. That antenna had a little bead on the end, which I could feel putting pressure between my eye. That metal rod must have been inside my eye at least an inch or two. When I pulled myself backwards, all of it slid out the same way it went in, and the pain was beyond all measure. Droplets of blood are now leaking from the base of my eye. I was stuck within 15 feet of the security of my delivery truck, but I can't see the keys to open up the door. I stumbled to the back and sat on the bumper, just holding my eye and praying that it didn't fall out. After around 45 minutes, my vision cleared up a little, but the pain was still explosive. I managed to get back into the truck and then slowly drive back toward my house, as we didn't have to return them if we were behind. We just swap it out for a totally new, fully loaded truck in the morning. My eye thankfully didn't fall out, but I did require some pretty involved visits to the doctor for around 18 months after that. I like to think that those crackheads are still holed up in that apartment, looking for a phantom burglar. They probably don't even remember taking me hostage. When I was 19 years old, I still lived at home with my parents and little brother. They were going out of town for some weekend getaway trip, but I was at the angsty stage where I only wanted to do my own thing, even if that meant foregoing a legitimate good time. The truth was that I was incredibly hungover. I was early on in my drinking career and had a long night of boozing the night before. I felt so sick that all I wanted to do was lay down and just be alone. I definitely didn't have a stomach to be with my family for 72 hours straight. I coughed up some excuse and it left me behind. You might ask yourself what I had planned for this epic little weekend. No house parties, no spin the bottle, no drugs or music. The first thing I did was cut all my hair.
Obtenez un vrai soulagement des symptômes multiples avec Buckley complet plus anti-mucosité.
With Udemy, you get the tools you and your leaders need to succeed. Learn to build an AI strategy and roll it out company-wide, unite a hybrid workforce, and develop resilient teams that are ready to innovate. During these times of transformation, the best leaders are learners. Contact us and get started on your leadership journey today.
It's on every news station in America. low-key thought it was kind of badass to just go against what everyone thought about you. I was getting ready to ship off to college at the time, so the notion of a self-reinvention was very exciting. Chopping off my hair seemed to be the quickest, most convenient route of rebellion. After the impromptu haircut, I went to the bathroom for a mini spa afternoon. Face masks, moisturizers, and I even cranked up the shower to make it all steamy. After an hour of lounging in the bathroom and getting all the hair cleaned up, I stepped out into the hallway, naked as the day I was born. Moving naked through the house is a prized pastime for many homebodies, and I was no exception. I went into the kitchen to find a snack, and just kind of zoned out as I looked out the window. I glanced down to the bag I'm eating out of, and I see a note on the counter. That's weird, I think. I don't remember my parents leaving me a note. At first glance, I recognize right away that it's not any handwriting I know. It reads, "I was gonna leave you a letter, but I see that you're still here. My blood runs cold. Still here. Who the hell wrote this?" I can feel the water dripping down my back, reminding me of just how vulnerable I am. It's the middle of the day, and still, I'm worse off than a sitting duck. There's a creak down the hallway. I make the split decision and barrel towards my bedroom. Can't do anything without clothes. I'd rather get murdered than run onto the street naked. There's someone standing there, though. I enter the room and find a man. Tall, dark clothing, with greasy hair hanging in his face. The moment I step into the room, he cracks this broad smile, and it's the creepiest thing I've ever seen. The only thing I can do is scream bloody murder right at the top of my lungs. His smile fades and he takes a step towards me, almost apologetically. That's when I recognize him. This weird guy that I dated my freshman year. We were an item for about 3 weeks before he ran away from home, and I mean ran away. No one saw or heard from him for months. The actual local myth was that he'd been found one city over and was homeschooled now. Regardless, here he stood, grinning in my bedroom. He reached behind himself, grabbed my clothes off the bed, and then hands them to me. I proceeded to dress myself in the most awkward situation I could possibly imagine. He didn't even act like he was doing anything wrong, which was creepy, but also a comfort, kind of like a little kid or something. He makes me sit down on the bed after I get dressed. Honestly, he didn't do anything weird or violent. He didn't threaten or hurt me, other than breaking into my house. He heard I was moving away and wanted to see me before I left. He said he'd been thinking about the past a lot, and that freshman year was his favorite. We didn't date long, but it held a special memory for him. We talked for a couple of hours, and then he left. I never saw him again, but I did hear a couple of years later that he was fully institutionalized for schizophrenia. That definitely added up when everything was said and done, but made me feel a little uneasy after the fact. How long was he in my house without me knowing that day? And worse than that, could he have possibly hurt me? Lock your doors when you decide to stay home alone. I live in a small country where things still go bump in the night, and that doesn't go for just creepy local legends. Dark strangers, cartels, I think you get the idea. Where I live, nowhere is truly removed from the day-to-day dangers of the unknown. It was a dark night. I found myself home alone. Here, it isn't uncommon for the entire family to live together. Grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren will all share a growing piece of property for wealth and security. It's the simplest way to live. But as you can imagine, being home alone is a rarity. There's so many people under one roof. It's almost impossible to time anything just right to ever be actually alone. So I did what I always do.
Okay.
I hooked up the surround sound throughout the living room and turned out all the lights. I bundled up on the couch with my favorite snack and watched whatever I desired on the big family television. Despite the ever-present danger I mentioned earlier, I remember the evening being quite relaxing.
Good.
Rain and a breeze moved in along the coast and created a bitter patter against the roof. As the night went on, I thought I heard someone at the front door. As I moved to investigate, the sound and movement stopped. But being a stormy night, and that I had the sound up so loud, I truly in my heart believed I'd simply heard something that wasn't there. I turned back to the TV and did my best to relax. That's when the back door would rattle. I adjust myself on the sofa to get a better look. When someone starts to knock, a frantic, heavy banging against the hard wood. I froze in place. Whatever I dismissed as storm sounds, or maybe just the junk blowing around in the backyard, is now undeniable. There's someone trying to come inside the house. Everyone who lives there naturally has a key. Whoever is outside the door clearly does not. At the time, I'm an 18-year-old man. I'm running through the logical scenarios in my head. Whoever this is, they tried to open up the front door, then slip around the side of the house, and is now trying to force the back door open. This isn't cartel or a monster. Anything with real bloodlust would have forced the front door open. I reasoned that it's a common theme. Probably someone very nervous and trying to remain unseen. Being 18, I decided to take them head on and show the world this asshole picked the wrong house. I moved from the couch to the kitchen.
Couldn't make it download for this video.
10
Okay,
inches
well,
of
guess
dingy,
what?
ugly steel. Still, the door handle is twisting back and forth. Go time. I have no idea what's gonna happen, but I'm down for whatever. There's nothing like the mentality of a teenager. You don't know who you're messing with, I shouted through the door. The stranger on the other side stopped shaking the handle for a moment. I know you're out there. You have 3 seconds to get the out of here, or I'll cut you up. They didn't care. The knocking started again, even harder than before. My confidence quickly faded. I took a deep breath and readied myself. In my head, this was do or die. Hoisting the cleaver over my head, I unfastened the bolt and threw open the door before me. It wasn't a burglar or a gangster of any kind. It was my sweet little grandma. She stood there soaking wet with an expression of agitation, but also unmistakable terror. "What are you doing?" she shouted at me. "Me? What are you doing at the back door?" I asked. "I thought you were an intruder." No. She laughed as she stepped inside the house. I went and paused the television while she shed her coats by the door. She explained that she'd gotten home during the storm, tried knocking for a while. That was the noise I heard at the front door. I guess she knocked for quite a while because she finally gave up and decided to try the back door. The front entrance has a little cupboard, so she figured that even if it were locked, at least she would be out of the rain. That's when I started to hear the commotion and decided to go to war with whatever was outside. Glad I didn't though, because I seriously almost killed my grandma. I played softball throughout high school. This meant I got home an hour or two later than school actually let out. Regardless, I was still the first one home more often than not. My parents worked well into the afternoon, and my sister participated in various clubs and after-school events like theater club. I got home one day to the usual scene. Fully locked house. Lights are off. Note from my mom in the kitchen. I let my dog out in the backyard, changed out of my uniform, and opened up a bag of Cheetos. Very average, very typical day. My dog scratched to let me know he was bored and to let him inside. Dog and I cuddle on the couch and start watching our favorite shows. Out of nowhere, I hear a door slam open. It's beneath me, downstairs in the basement. I could feel it vibrate through the floorboards. I know this sounds weird, but this wasn't out of the ordinary. The basement was like a downstairs apartment. My older sister lived down there. The basement had its own entry door to the outside, and she could be pretty careless with her coming and going. Our parents had spoken to her multiple times about letting the door slam open and closed. So honestly, I didn't think twice about it. I kept watching TV and eating my Cheetos. My dog, however, got up and moseyed down the stairs. Again, this wasn't odd, but what was odd was the silence that followed. No smooching or petting, no excited cheers. The dog went downstairs, that was that. Still, I continued watching TV. Maybe she was just in a bad mood down there. After a few minutes, I see movement in the front yard. I turn to find my dog, the one that was just with me on the couch, running up and down the block. He's a big, dumb, and overly friendly Labrador who was not allowed out front.
On protège bien notre peau avec de l'écran solaire.
Pourquoi pour d'autres d'hommes ce serait différent?
Représentation en anglais seulement.
His sister definitely knows this, so I'm thinking, what the hell is she doing?
Domlink, here's your Blink. Just a small video. Going back to the basic, going back to the roots. We have the lovely weather behind me, lovely weather, which is cloudy. We have two of those bad boys. We're opening up something. And again, the weight loss, we'll be working out as we're making videos. So this is a behind the scene, and I love to post this. Don't blink, it's your Blink. Just had a couple hours of relaxation because we had nice workouts, so we were able to upload some clips. Now what we're gonna do is we have about 30 minutes of filming to do. I'm gonna be doing a TikTok live after that for eating. Then the rest of the night, super chill. We do have some candy now, so I'm gonna go well, and that is pretty much it. Hell yeah. Don't mind if you talk a lot. Don't blink, it's your Blink. Welcome to our show. We're doing well, having a wonderful day. We're back to the good old habits. So I'm gonna be showing you this sunset. We're gonna be filming videos in the background. It's actually raining, guys. So I know it's hard to believe, but still. Anyway, enjoy the following. It's a bit cold. I think I'm gonna be wearing a jacket because it is a bit cold. Oh, it's a bit cold.
This little window in the door was weird because if you were up close and trying to look through it, the prismatic glasses skewed the optics, made it impossible to look properly. You had to have some distance between yourself and the window, like I had right now, and make out what was actually on the other side. This guy was looking at me, but I knew he couldn't actually see me. I snuck back down.
Oh shit. Thank God I checked. Thank God I checked. Good. Don't blink, it's your blink. Welcome to our show. This is being having a wonderful day on this 25th March 2025. I am so freaking happy. Wow, what a day. We just had an amazing workout. We're playing 3 times the tower, which is freaking phenomenal. I'm about to be opening up 1 box of what the mailman brought me. Now, what the mailman brought me, usually we do a lot more boxes, but I'm trying to do like a short, that way it's better for you guys. It gets more views. So yeah, so we're gonna do only 1 box. Technically I know what's inside that box, so not even a surprise. Again, we try to lose weight, so what's the best thing? Candies. Candies, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what is it insane? What is insane here, right, is candies are not a good thing to lose some weight. Not a good thing at all. But it is to have something to take away the craving, right? And these are super hard, so you cannot bite them. So when you start with candy, it will last you 10 minutes. After that, you won't have the craving of junk food. We also have a 2-player starter deck from Yu-Gi-Oh! Those are super fun to open. And there's 2 starter decks, so it's about which one is the strongest. So always super cool. And we do have a 2nd bag of candy. So there you go. That is the unboxing of the day. Don't blink, it's your blink. Welcome to the show. You guys are doing well, having a wonderful day. This is another video for the weight loss channel. We have been doing some really good stuff for the weight loss. So we did 3 days, well, 2 days live and 1 day just to test out the machine of cardio of treadmills. Yesterday we reached 1 hour 15. Today was 1 hour 20. Now, like I said in a live stream, I would like to do 2 hours per day. So it's going super well. However, my legs are complete jello. And I'm realizing that no matter how hard I'm working out, I'm gonna be doing, it's not so much about this. It's not so much about the fact that, oh, we're working out, so, you know, it's good. It's how much can I put into 1 day. So I made a video about this last week, and I want to start right now, today. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna be taking weights. As you can tell, we got 2 weights here. And I want to start making videos while we're doing the weight. Now, the reason as to why we're making videos while we're doing the weight is, once again, is cramming as much as possible in a daily, how can I put this? Like, for example, right? I'm gonna show you the perfect example, actually. This is not planned. This is not planned. We got 1 tower here, and we also have 1 tower here. So we are already doing 3 things at once. Now, the plan would be to work out. I have 4 videos to do today. They're about 45 minutes. Then I'm gonna go live on TikTok, and we're gonna be eating, and that's gonna be my day. So this is possibly, if I can work out for 50 minutes of those 40, I'll be extremely happy. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys. Once again, I know this sounds like this is very intense for the weight loss, but it's I'm a workaholic, you know. This is something I'm newly passionate about. I wouldn't say it's a passion to lose the weight, but making content is a passion, and if we are facing a weight loss journey, then the weight loss become this new, like, kind of one, it's kind of like one ring to rule them all, right? It's like this main focus is to lose weight, and we're gonna be doing content around it. Yeah, so this is the mentality, this is the idea. Anyway, I love you guys, take it easy, peace. Don't blink, it's your blink. Welcome to our show. We're doing well on this 25th March 2025. Today we are having our very first video on the new arc, which is weight loss. So you're gonna be hearing me doing 1 set every single video. Today I have 4 sets to do, so this is 4 videos. My apologies, it's the way around. I have 4 videos to do, so this is 4 sets. We're trying to lose some weight, so I understand it's gonna be kind of annoying to hear me work out. However, there's still the mentality of I'm extremely overweight. Okay, I'm extremely overweight, and we're going to talk about this in this current video. So if I can do 2 things at once, I would love to do it. So the subject of today's video is quite simple. I got 2 subjects. The first one being why 28,000 videos And then the second one is why we are not making as many videos. So it's gonna be kind of complex because we're gonna be navigating around two things that are quite emotional. So without further ado, let's start. The weight that we have are 20 pounds. So the first thing we're gonna do is, of course, biceps, and then we're gonna do shoulder. So why 28,000? See, this is a bit too much. We're gonna be hearing every single time. We're gonna be hearing that. Okay. We made space already. Why 28,000 video? So most of you guys are familiar with the reason why we start making content. The reason why we started making content was we had a really shitty life, and I was looking for an escape from that life, right? So the escape from that life was via music. As long as I had music, I was in another world. As long as I was in another world, I didn't have to suffer my surrounding. So I would trade in reality for reality that I had in my ears. One person that I met was Kit Boga. Kit Boga was an amazing content creator. I fucking love him. I fucking respect him. He's the reason why we're making content today. So what exactly happened? We were making content. We were listening to Kit Boga, and then I reached the end of the YouTube channel. So I watched every single video multiple times. Now I know what you're gonna say. Ain't shit, that's crazy. This guy has been making content for 7 years. It is crazy, but there's also the pandemic. It was during the pandemic, and we were listening to him, right? So then, what ended up happening is that we didn't have any videos. So he kept on saying, you can follow my Twitch, you can follow my Twitch, you can follow my Twitch. And I know it's gonna be hard to believe that I didn't have Wi-Fi. I didn't even know what Twitch was. So when I found out Twitch, I realized it was a website for a lot of life that were gaming. I was a gamer, and I was like, dude, I love gaming. What a nice way. Now, the principal idea behind creating Ink Vendetta was, we're gonna take Ink Vendetta, and it's gonna be the complete opposite of who we are. So he's not gonna get bullied, we're getting bullied. He's not gonna suffer, we're suffering, right? And then the passion came, like I said multiple times, I met some of you guys, and you guys gave me the want, the need to say thank you. I'm a very grateful person in life. I'm an extremely grateful person in life. And this extremely grateful person in life is, it's odd. It's really odd. This is such an odd video because I'm already thinking about what's gonna be happening at the end. Sorry for this bird. That's the bird? Okay, cool. When is the bird? No problem. That's a bird. That is the bird. So, long story short, the main focus of it was, you guys are nice to me, I'm gonna say thank you, I wanna show my face. We start showing my face, start making video with tasting food. And then I realized that I had such a nice connection, I had such a nice community with making content. So there's multiple ways to see it. So I wanna see, and it's weird because we're doing a weight loss arc. I see myself as a content creator. It's not my job, it's my passion, it's a job that I want to do, but it's not my main job, right? So so what ended up happening was, I see them a lot like me. I see a lot of content creator documentary, and I see myself and I relate to that because I'm also a content creator. So then what ended up happening was, talk about arc a lot. Now with myself, it's hard to say that I have an arc. Then again, today we did a video where we ran on a treadmill, and because we ran on a treadmill, I was able to talk to somebody, Janice, 95, and Janice gave us some idea or talked about something that we did before. For example, he was talking about this video. He was talking about this period of time that I was, right? So it was in the weirdest of ways, it was kind of an arc, right? And now we're into a weight loss arc. So let's go back with the different arcs of my content creation career. At first, I was damned because I was working 8 hours a day. I was taking an hour and a half every single day to come back and forth my job, right? So I was like, holy shit, okay. Then I had to sleep 6 or 7 hours. I was still pretty young. I was 28 years old, so I was still able to sacrifice a little bit of sleep. Now, with sacrifice of sleep, I was able to do, I want to say around 5 or 6 hours per day. of content, of streaming. And that 5 or 6 hours per day, it wasn't enough for me. So we had a nice community. Then I think I truly fell in love with making content where I started editing. So it's a really cool story. I was having a lot of fun with games, but it was always the same people that came in, which I'm super grateful for, but it was more so of a social activity than something. For example, you had the same people over and over and over. You're grateful for them, but it's more so like, hey, let's have a chilling, right, at Ink's stream, which I'm super grateful for. But content creation wise, I became in love. I fell in love the first month of making content. I fell in love playing Pokemon Silver, which was my first stream ever with making content, because it was so much fun and I had people coming in the stream. Now this stream does not exist anymore because somebody told me, hey, using an emulator is illegal. You can lose the entire channel. So I'm like, holy shit, I don't want to lose an entire channel. So then, one of my main followers, I'm amazing at 93, which was the first sub. He was subbed to me for a year, which is huge. He was getting it for free because it was Amazon Prime, but still, it means a lot to me. And then I was like, dude, I'm finished with this game. What is the game that you want me to play? And he told me to play Elden Ring. And then Elden Ring was a game, it was the game that I fell in love with streaming with. One of my first games that I played this game for 200 hours, and I streamed 200 hours of it. So there's 200 hours of Elden Ring on my channel. No, that's not true. That was the first playthrough, the cheap playthrough of Elden Ring. And that's when I discovered TikTok. And I started editing videos on TikTok. I was doing bosses. In 1 month, I got 1,000 followers. So I was like, holy shit. Now, I fell in love with making content because I was like, hey, we're able to do so much in so little time. So then I became obsessed with making content. I became obsessed with filming. So then I started filming myself, but I was still at work. So this is the work arc. So I had responsibilities, I had engagement with work, I had commitment at work, so I had to respect that. So it was always a question of, okay, well, we're able to do content, but we cannot do it at work. There's some video at work that I filmed, which is super cool, but most of it, it's not. It doesn't matter. So then, what ended up happening was the job closed. So we have our second arc, the arc where I became very alone. I had a very social life. I was still obsessed with doing content. Now, this obsession with doing content, I would like to say it's from a love of the work, a love of the environment, but the reality was I felt like I was working for somebody else more than I was doing my own dream. So the 5 or 6 hours I was taking for making content every single day, I was like, holy shit, I'm obsessed. I need to do as much as possible. Then this became a 12, 13 hours a day. So this was the worst period of my life, content creation style, because yes, we found enlightenment in those videos, right? Because of how much we were filming and how fun it was. But at the same time, I felt like I didn't have a life. I didn't have a life at all. And ultimately speaking, the don't have a life at all isn't such a big deal. It's more so the fact that, okay, I'm spending my whole life making content, and at that moment I was so in love with making content because it was a drug. It was my only social aspect. It was the proverbial locking in. We were locking in. We were making content 14, 15 hours a day, every single day for the better part of 10 months, and then I had a burnout. I had a crash out, right? I had a crash out, and in October. Now the reality is I wasn't doing too much content. The reality is I was doing too much. So I was doing lives on Twitch. I was filming content. I was every single day watching the sunrise, and I was doing TikTok lives. So I wasn't sleeping a lot, right? So then we had this depression that lasted until very recently, and the reason why we made so many videos was a lack of social, right? Lack of social interaction. But it's not true. The reason why we did so much work was because I need somebody to talk to. I needed somebody in my life to talk to, and that content was it. And there's a lot of videos that I talk about some repressed feelings, some feeling that I have for years and years and years and years. And now what I'm realizing is I missed the social aspect of it. So for example, today we did some live on TikTok, and it was so much fun to connect with you guys. It was so much fun to talk to you guys. It was so much fun to not necessarily be in a work environment, because when I do make videos, it doesn't feel like work, but this is my dream job, so I have to treat. So it doesn't feel like work, but it's something that is related to work. So it's like, for example, your I always like this sports salesman, and he want to sell a bunch of clubs, right? And they go golfing with the clients, and they show us how good the golf club are. And then he's like, you know, you can see that this is really good. This is really good quality. You can see that this is one hell of a club. And the client's like, holy shit, you're right. This is really good quality, right? And although this is really fun, at the end of the day, it is still a job, because you're trying to sell something, and trying to sell something is only important because at the end of the day, you're coming in with a intent. So my intent was to have this job, even though it was fun, even though I had a pleasure. It was a lot of fun for the last 4 years, because we've been making content for the last 4 years. There was still this intent of, I hope this end up in a job. Now, is there a part of me that said, okay, well, you have 9 months of unemployment by the government. Is that going to need a job? Absolutely. I was very stressed, because I was like, well, if I don't make it this year, I'm going to have a job. If I have to have a job, I'm not going to be able to film as much. If I'm not able to film as much, is it going to be enough? I don't see myself, and again, I had a discussion with DZ, and he was giving me shit, and I love DZ, he's like a bird to me. He was giving me shit, oh, you never value yourself. So, I often see myself as not the most talented guy, he's not the most entertaining guy, the hardest working guy. Call me Naruto, call me frickin', you know, and that's a real big pride of mine. But lately, I've been running out of subject, and I think the reason why we're not filming that much is because there's this fear of going back into this mindset of I need to work until I get sick. So there's there is this fear of, are you working too much? Are you working enough? And the truth is, I don't know my limits. I never was in a position to reach my limits. I was always in a position where you're tired, you can take a break. Right? Now I don't want to take a break. It's not a question of if I'm tired or not, it's I don't want to take a break. And this is very meaningful to me. It's very meaningful in the sense of, this is a dream. This is building the foundation of a company that is myself. You know, it's not nepotism. It's not the best looking. It's not the most talented. It's just hard working. Foundation, blood, sweat, and tears, right? Now, I'm going to tell you a secret, okay? When you put blood, sweat, and tears in something, okay? It's really hard to do the same thing and not put blood, sweat, and tears. It's really hard. And right now we're dealing with that. But right now the good thing is, although I don't have a lot of motivation, not motivation, that's not the right word, inspiration is a better word, to make content, I make up for it with you guys. So I'm seeing you guys, and we're talking, and we're social, and it's such a nice thing, and it's so much fun. And I'm like, holy shit, this is what I should have done before. Way before. Just chill with you guys. Just be in a position where I can talk with you guys. Because I spent 3 years making content, and I spent half a year being with you guys, and this half a year with you guys felt more meaningful than the 3 years in itself. So yeah, now, as the reason why we're making less video, because we're moving on, the reason why we're making less video is very simple. I realized that the first arc of my life, I was very lonely. I was very alone. I was very in a position of, I had nobody to talk to, I was going to talk to you guys, right? I was also in a position where it didn't matter what I said, because nobody was going to watch the video, right? I had this eye-opening experience with a girl 2 months ago. We were involved romantically speaking, and she told me, hey, I watched that video that you did, and I was uncomfortable because I was like, dude, I didn't think that you were gonna watch that video. And I said something about her. I said, oh, I hurt her feelings and I didn't mean to, right? And that's the truth. And it's for that video, and something that I wouldn't be able to share with her because my fragile male ego was shared with her because she saw it, right? like shit, right? This is something else now. This is a completely different story. But yeah, it happens. So the reason why we're not gonna make as much content is because I don't feel the need to be social. This desperation to talk to someone, this desperation to be social, to be interacting with people. I want to focus more on the. I want to focus more on the content. So, for example, right, you guys know that I started this weight loss journey, and you guys think I'm a bit intense with it, and I possibly am a little bit intense with it. I admit it. I'm possibly very intense with it, but at the same time, I have to say, proud and loud, that this is something that's really important to me. This is something I'm really liking doing. You guys are receptive to it, so I'm getting this. And please understand, I'm just being honest with you guys. I know people are not gonna get happy because I said that. They're gonna feel used, but that's not the case. I have this case of you guys being happy, which is one of the goals that I have, but this other case of self-fulfillment. I'm making content, which is my passion, but we're bettering your life by losing weight. So this is like a dream come true. Now we're 2 days in. I don't know what's gonna happen next week. I don't know what's gonna happen next month. I don't know what's gonna happen next year. But as to right now, this is the best thing in my life. So yeah, that is pretty much fucking it. So thank you for watching. Truly, I'm grateful for you guys, and I don't say it enough. So now, we did this, we did that. So what's next? No more walks for now. Okay, cool. Don't blink. It's your boy Ink. Welcome to the Compteur Show. You're doing well. You guys are having an amazing day on the 25th, March 2025. Now, this is a sad video. This is a video that I didn't want to make. This is a video that's going to be painful to do, but I have to be honest with myself and I have to be honest with you guys. We are going to take a break from walking. So you guys are saying, yeah, but Ink, we saw that you were doing the treadmill. We saw that you were on a weight loss journey. What is going on with that? That is the case. As you can see outside right now, it's not really good. It's not really great. Now, even if it was great, I love going out. I love going outside, but I realized by watching my own videos that the amount of things that I show you is really cool, but I can't help the fact that my surrounding, my environment, my city is not a big city. And I feel like I'm showing you the same thing over and over and over and over again. Now, ultimately speaking, I'm not saying that we're not gonna do the walks. I would love this summer to go downtown, to go in my city and just travel and discover the city with you guys. I would love that. But as of right now, if I was to walk, it would be in Lachine. Now, the reason why I'm also doing this is because I get to lose weight with you guys. I get to do the treadmill, which is, to be honest, it's something that I prefer to walking. I love nature, but right now my health is in a very bad state. We need to lose some weight. We need to be healthier. This is the main goal of right now. You guys are receptive to it. I'm doing live stream with you guys where we get to talk. We make it fun. So yeah. So ultimately, now there's this summer, because now it's spring. This summer I have huge plans for nature. This summer is gonna be very nature pronounced. But for the next couple of months, you're not gonna see me walking next to my house or using the same path we used before, just because I don't want to make a difference in the content. This is content. There's also this self-preservation. I'm gonna make content for the next 20 years, right? How long am I gonna stay in this apartment? 2-3 years? For the next 2-3 years, the surrounding of this apartment will not change. The street will not change. The restaurant will not change. The store might change, but most likely they won't. So I'm in a position where I want to shoot you guys content. I'm in a position where I want to show you guys some cool stuff, some entertaining stuff. But I'm also in a position where I'm seeing that I do not want to do repetitive content. I was talking to my best friend today, DZ. And DZ, which has been a follower for the channel and somebody that really look at the content. And DZ, what I like about him is a bit critical. He's a bit like it's a bit more analytical than me. He's a bit more behind the scenes, a bit more brainstorming than me. Me, I'm just like, hey, this could be a cool video. Fuck the planning, let's do it. He's more like, okay, well, how do we want to do this video, right? And he's talking, and he really takes the time to analyze the video. Now what's cool with DC is like, yo, lately the content that you've been doing is more entertaining. I like the content that you've been doing more than that. And he was talking about how the food was nice, but it was repetitive. And I was like, okay, well, what else is repetitive? The walk I'm doing is repetitive, right? So we're in a position where I have to be careful with that, because again, I want. It's we did a video for 28,000 videos. Why 28,000 videos? Now the truth is, I don't know. The truth is, I have no fucking clue. Haven't got there. The truth is, there's possibly a amazing reason why we got there. But I want to make you guys proud. I want you guys to be happy, to be excited when you see my videos. I want you guys. I would hate for you guys to say, hey, I really like this guy because I love you people. And I'm not complaining, I'm very thankful for that, but it breaks my heart that a lot of people are going to like the videos, are going to be nice to the content I'm doing because they like me. And ultimately, I'm grateful for that. I like the fact that you guys will say, hey, it's Ink, let's support the guy. But it's not the main deal, it's not the main thing. I want you guys to be happy and excited when you see one of the videos like, yo, Ink dropped something. It's not like, oh, Ink dropped a video. I'm not going to watch it, I'm just going to support my guy because I like him. I want you guys to be, I feel like, I often feel like, sometimes I feel like this is a relationship that I have with you guys where I receive, but I don't give out a lot. That breaks my heart. So yeah, so now we're not gonna do walks anymore. It's still gonna be seeing me. You're still gonna see me on a daily basis on a treadmill, and this summer I'll have a bunch of stuff planned out which are really good, and that's pretty much it. So I love you guys. Take it easy. That is going super low and super fast. What the fuck? What in the fuck? So guys, we just saw the sunset. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in. How much batteries do you have? You have 45. Okay, you're good. So now we're gonna stop the recording on the tower, and we're gonna go in. We're gonna get ready for our meal. Okay, perfect. And you do like that. Okay, perfect.